Okay, today we're going to talk about using the Smart Response software, your teacher's tool gradebook, and looking at your students' grades and assessments. We're going to review and evaluate our results for those. Okay, the objective of today is by the end of this section, you're going to be able to find results, details in your teacher tools gradebook for both the student and students' performance and the overall assessment for each assessment that you give them. As teachers, we want to be able to evaluate our students' performance and the assessment of how well the students have done on the assessment itself. And when we look at assessments, we want to know, was the class successful on the test or quiz, the assessment that we gave them? Did they get the concept? Did everybody get it, or did some people get it and some people didn't? We want to know which student possibly did not get the concept. Where are they still having issues and problems with the concepts? On the assessment side of this, we can, using the Smart Response Teacher Tool software, we can look at specific questions and say, maybe this question wasn't as clear as I wanted it to be, looking at how many students got it right, how many students maybe got it wrong. On the student side, I would like to know, maybe, do I need to differentiate my instruction some? Is there something that I need to do for one student more of in order for them to understand the concept? And what's good about all of this also is that knowing this information for things like parent-teacher conferences, our RTI, information that we have to give for our lower quartile, we can show parents, we can show administrators and other teachers how they're doing in our classroom specifically, and where is it that they're not getting or understanding or maybe keeping up with everybody else. Where are they having issues? And the Smart Response Teacher's Tool Gradebook allows us to do this. So, in reviewing the gradebook today, looking at the gradebook results, I'm going to show you how to sort the gradebook results. I'm going to show you how for the student to display properties, performance, and results specifically for each student. I'm going to also show you how to display the properties, performance, results, and questions areas for a particular assessment, and then how to change which answer you'll accept as correct after the assessment results have been stored. So you can go back and change the answer in case maybe you put the wrong answer in. Alright, so today I'm going to ask you to go ahead and open up your CARE-T gradebook file. It's on your computer. And your gradebook should open up to a home page that looks like this. It should say Your Gradebook, Brentwood Middle School, CARE-T. We're going to use this as a sample gradebook to work off of, an example. First thing you're going to do in order to open up the class, we want to select which class we'd like. So on the far left-hand side of the computer, of your page, you'll see underneath the toolbar, it says Gradebook. I'm going to select the class that I want to start. It says 7 Science 8A. Now when that page opens up, you see Science 8A. Just above Science 8A, you see a tab that says Home above the pencils, a tab that says Students, and a tab that says Assessment. You want to make sure that before you go to look at your grades, that your class, that the page says Start Class, that your class is not active, because when you start your class, you'll see the page changes. You'll see that my class has started and the students are able to log on and sign in. I don't want them doing that now. More than likely, so I'm going to select the button that says Stop Class. I'm back to where I was. More than likely, when you're doing this, you're going to be doing this without students in the classroom when you're reviewing grades and reviewing assessments. But the other part of this would be is that the privacy button, which is up on the far right-hand side, there's an I, a little blue button, little button, square button, and within that button there's an eyeball, and it opens and closes. So when privacy is off, the eye is open. When privacy is on, the eye is closed. When privacy is on, you will not be able to see the student's grades, the student's identification number, or the assessment grades on any of the tests. So you want to make sure your privacy is off so that you'll be able to see the assessments. And then we're going to come over to our tabs. In the middle here, page, next to home, it says students. Let's select students. And the page opens up, and you'll see the student IDs, your last names, the first name, and the student's average. The average that you see is their overall average for all the assessments that you have done on the Smart Response. If I were to choose a student, panel opens up down below. The information that I get, I have 3 buttons. It says Properties, Performance, and Results. On the far left-hand side, it says K-Bell, so I know which student I'm looking at. And it also has all the information for properties. It gives you all the information that you've put in about that student. Tags gives you information that maybe when you want to do a report later on, information that you may have put in based on how you want to sort that report out. Okay, the next box next to properties is performance. So if you select performance, this gives me a graph. It says assessments over time, and it shows me how the student's average, how the student is doing on each of the assessments compared to the rest of the class. The blue line on each of the dots is each of the assessments. The red line is the rest of the class. So I get a quick look at how this student is doing compared to the class overall. The next button I want to look at is results. And this gives me my list of assessments that I've given. The information as far as the type of assessment, the subject, the topic, the type of assessment that it is as far as the quiz, exam, the dates that I've given it, and a mark. This shows me for Kay Bell that she's received 60% on the State of Matter assessment. There was only 5 questions on that exam. She got 3 out of the 5 correct. And when you go down, I have in the red, I see that she flunked or failed this assessment on plant studies. It's in red, you'll notice that. And this, you can decide what you consider failure. So wherever you put your rate at, whether it's 70% or 50%, whatever you choose, that's where that will show you then that the student failed that exam or that test. Alright, so that's the students, looking at the different students. Now the next tab, next to students, going to the right, is assessments. So I'm going to select assessments. This gives me the title, the name of my assessment, the subject, the topic, the type, exam, quiz, review, the date and time that I gave the assessment, and the overall class average. I see on this one that 70%, so 3.5 out of 5 got it correct, 7.5 out of 12 for the next quiz. So I'm going to select one of the tests. I'm going to select this Texas State Review. And when this box opens up, I have 4 boxes now, 4 buttons, sorry. Properties, Performance, Results, and Questions in the middle here. On the far left side it says Texas State Review, so I know which test I'm on. This, under Properties, is all the information that I've entered in about the test. I'm going to select Performance, which is the next button over, next to Properties, and I get a graph. I get a bar graph based on student achievement per question. So I see down here, this tells me that I had 12 questions on this test. This is the number of students that took the test on the y-axis over here. And just looking at the bar graph, I see how students did on each question. The green means they passed, they've got it correct. The red is that failed, and the blue is that they skipped that question. If I want to know also that same information specifically, I can choose any of the bar graphs, and it gives me 15 passed, failed 9, 0 skipped it, 0 were absent. Alright, so that breaks down the test, the specific assessment for me. Then if I go to my next button, which is results, choose results, I get the list of the students, their ID number, and how each one of them did on the test. If I use my scroll bar, bring it down, I can see all of my students and how they did. I also am able to see which students did not pass that test specifically, and it tells me how many they got right or wrong based on the number of questions. Okay, then if I go to questions, which is my last button on the far right side here, and choose select questions, this tells me the questions that I had on my test. If I select the question, this one says, where do freshwater plants live? And it was 1 point. To my far right hand side, I have a table that says response, occurrence, and correct. Response is, this test was multiple choice. So A was saltwater, B freshwater. And those that skipped it tells me how many that skipped the question. And A was not a correct answer. B was the correct answer. So here, saltwater, I have 9. It tells me 9 out of 24 selected saltwater. B, freshwater, tells me 12, half of the class out of 24 selected saltwater. And here tells me which one was correct. So if I thought, gee, I wonder, so many, there wasn't that big of a difference between the answers as far as 9 saying that's what they thought, and 12 the other selected B. And I think, did I maybe select the wrong answer? I can go back at this point and choose and change my answer as to which one I think it should be. And so I can do it right here on the panel. So I'm going to, by doing that, I click on the box that I want the answer to be, and that brings up, changes that right there. If I decide that, no, maybe not, I can go back, check the other box, and deselect the box that I thought it was, and puts the answer back to that. So whichever one you think that's right, that's one you can choose after the fact also. Okay, so what I'd like you to do today is go ahead and let's go back to your home tab. We're on the classes 8A. And so what I'd like you to do is you're going to use your clickers and review the information on your gradebook using the CARA-T gradebook file. You're going to have your CARA-T teacher sample gradebook file should be open on your desktop, and you're going to use that to help find the answer. Your first question is, what was the most recent assessment completed by the Science 8A class? Was it A, climate change discussion questions, B, a chemistry quiz, C, a quiz about plants, or D, a photosynthesis exam? You choose the correct answer.